Hey everybody, Aaron Blaise here, and it's Thursday, and we have got a special stream today.
Yes.
So today, November 1st, marks the 15th anniversary that Brother Bear premiered in theaters. Um, and that's the film that I co-directed with Bob Walker and produced by Chuck Williams, and we had a great time making that movie. And so I thought today we could have a Brother Bear themed day. So maybe do some Brother Bear art, and maybe we could keep the questions around Brother Bear and all that good stuff. Sorry, my glasses were a little bit schmudgy. And we had a great Halloween yesterday. Halloween's a big for us. You know, I live in a neighborhood where there's lots of trick or treaters, and so I always bring my fire pit up to the front driveway. We bring in chairs, and we get full size candy bars. I'm the coolest house on the block. We get piles of full size candy bars, and the kids just have a ball. So we had a really good time. Vedanta cooked a big meal, and so we had, I think, 18, 20 people over last night. We had candy and roast beef and all kinds of great stuff.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, give or take. Dustin goes, yeah, give or take, or
Yeah,
whatever.
when it comes to all the candy.
But it was fun. We had a great time. But anyway, so Brother Bear. The other thing too, if you are, if right above my head is the code up,
Directly above your head.
right here. So I got a code right here, and it's Brother Bear 15. It's 15 years since Brother Bear came out. So if you guys are watching today, going over to creatureartteacher.com, my website,
And that's down below.
and that's down below. It's right here, and you'll get 15% off out at checkout. So that's a cool thing. So you're gonna save some money if you go on over to the website and get some stuff over there. We've got all kinds of art lessons. Ronnie Williford's course is officially up and for sale and flying out the door. Ronnie Williford just created a new course called Plein Air Painting in Watercolor and Oil. So all you guys out there that are working in traditional media, you got to get this. And if you're not working in traditional media, I suggest pushing yourself to do so. It's going to make your digital art better, and this course is a really great step for that. So go over to creatureartteacher.com and check out Ronnie Williford's new course on plein air painting in watercolor and oil. And I'm working away on trying to get my acting for animation course. So look for that in a couple of weeks. As usual, I've got Dustin in the hot seat right next to me,
Hey guys, how's it going?
and he had a good time last night too.
Oh yeah.
He finished off about half a bottle of whiskey.
Nah, it wasn't half a bottle, but it was pretty close.
Yeah, pretty good. He did good.
Sipped it throughout the night.
And then in Sarasota, we've got Nick Birch, my business partner, and he's going to be helping to answer questions as well. And at first, Nick and I were talking about what kind of art should we do today. And at one point, I was thinking, maybe a rendered realistic keen eye or something like that as a bear. We've been doing a lot of bears lately. And he suggested maybe doing the transformation, something big and dramatic, a new interpretation of the transformation, which I thought is really cool. And I'll probably do that. But I thought maybe we could see if anyone has any suggestions. What would you like to see from Brother Bear for me to render? And if something catches my eye or catches my ear, then maybe we can do that.
Brother Bear themed viewer's choice.
Maybe, yeah. I want to see if you can beat. Let's see if you can beat a transformation image. Then let's do that. Let's meet it or beat it. That's what we always called it when we did our story meetings when we were making Brother Bear. Actually, we would write. And then we'd hand out the script pages to everybody to read or to storyboard for the story artists. And our policy was always meet it or beat it. So it was always board what's in the pages, or give us something better. And we would talk about
Sitka transforming.
Sitka transforming.
Yeah.
Well, Sitka got crushed by a glacier.
But
we could do Sitka transforming.
yeah.
Yeah.
In its spirit form and all that.
Oh, into the eagle?
Yeah. Maybe.
That's a cool idea. Yeah.
Or
What else do you have coming up?
Rotten Took.
Like realistic Rutten Tooks?
I think so. Or just said Rotten Took.
Rut and Took. Took and Rut.
Sitka blowing out the candles of the 15th year cake.
That's
Something with the Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to stick with transformation with the Aurora. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yep, let's just go ahead and do that.
So, wait, are we doing the Kenai transformation or Sitka transformation?
I'm going to do Kenai transformation. And I'm just going to do my own version of it, a kind of a big rendered version of it. What it might look
By
like.
the way, were there any scenes in the movie that you animated?
Yeah, I did several scenes of Kenai as a bear. Yep, I did. Lots of people on YouTube are saying go with the transformation. I think Nick just wrote that because it was his idea. Nick is doing it. It's just because it was your idea, Nick. That's all. I'm sure of it. Stay hydrated, my friends. All right, are we done on the desktop? We are.
Hmm? Yeah, we are.
All right. An animal version of Tanana. Oh, that's interesting. A Twitch animal version of Tanana. I think I'm going to still go with the transformation. I want to see what we can come up with. I've got some ideas. I've got this idea of him twisting around as a human.
Yeah, how important is the use of photo reference? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
I think photo reference is vitally important for a lot of people. I mean, you can't remember everything. And I think it's, you don't have to always have it, I guess, but I use it even with my animal drawing. I still use photo reference, just for to help me with accuracy in posing and that sort of thing.
Oh, by the way, Kristen Von Benson asks that he made some custom brushes that he thinks that you would like. Is there a way that he can send them to you?
You can send them to support@creatureartteacher.com. Thanks, man. That sounds cool. So I'm just experimenting right now. I'm trying to get, thinking like a bear face. I don't know if this is any good yet or not.
No. Someone's asking for a rotten tooth transformation. I don't know if that's a good idea. Too much dew.
I almost want him like in a fetal position, like he's.
Just joined. What are we drawing today?
We are drawing. Today is the 15th anniversary of Brother Bear being released in the theaters, November 1st, 2003. And, no, don't like that either. And so we're doing a Brother Bear theme. And I'm doing a transformation image. And I'm trying to find it. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. I'm just trying to find a good pose.
A good posture.
Because I want some human elements in here, but I also want bear elements.
He said, "Happy birthday!"
So here,
do you ever think of doing portfolio reviews through Skype and such? Like we can purchase it through Creature Art Teacher, like how Steven Silver does?
yes, we've thought about it. I'm not sure if we're going to right now or not, but we will. We've been talking about it for sure. What was Michael Clark Duncan like? Michael Clark Duncan was one of the best guys to work with on the film. He was a gentle giant, and he was a great improv actor. He would give us what we wanted in the pages, but he would also ad lib really well, and he was just wonderful. He was a great guy. We actually, I was gonna be making another film with Digital Domain called The Legend of Tembo, and we had him signed on that film as well. This was about 6 years ago, but unfortunately, he passed away, and then the film was never made anyway. But it was really sad to, when we heard that he had passed. I'm not sure if I like this one. And who did or how was the transformation done originally? Well, the transformation was actually, I'm going to knock that one back as well. The transformation was actually, it was something that Bob and I, my co-director Bob, my good friend also, we knew we wanted something big. We knew we wanted it with the Northern Lights. Those are the great spirits in the movie. We knew we wanted, this big spectacle, but we neither one of us really had any idea how to do it, where we wanted it to go. And once again, this is this big lesson for me as a director, because I kept panicking because I felt like the crew really needed to know what was in our heads, what that vision was going to be. And in reality, we realized the crew is there to help us find that vision, And so that for me was a big teaching point for me. And so we found Richie Chavez, who is an amazing visual development artist and art director. And he came on and worked with us and did some incredible visual development work for the transformation. He spent about 8 weeks working on it, doing these beautiful little pastels. They're just stunning. And a lot of them are in the book. In my where'd my book go? Shoot, I should have pulled the book out before the stream. A lot of the images are in the Art of Brother Bear. Where did I put that? Ah, shoot. Is it up there? Shoot. But anyway, he really defined the look of that for us, and it was absolutely incredible. And so after 8 weeks, he pitched everything he had done for us, and it was beautiful. We cut it together in editorial, and it worked really well. And so that was the basis. And then it was just a matter of animating all the elements, getting the Northern Lights looking right, and yeah, that was it. The fan theory is that Tug is Coda's dad. Is that true? That's interesting. No, that's not true. At one time, Tug was Kenai's dad, and Tug was a shape-shifting human. In a very, very early version of the movie, before it was called Brother Bear, it was called Shadow Bear. Our first version that we wrote was called Shadow Bear, and it was about, shape-shifting is a huge part of Native American myths, and a lot of them felt like bears were just humans in bear clothing. And so, hold on one second here. And so we ran with that for quite a while, the whole transformation or shape-shifting idea, and gave Kenai this ability to do just that. And I think I'm going to give him a bare body and just let it go into human legs, see what that looks like. It might look a little weird, but let's see what it does. And so it was called Shadow Bear, and Kenai, he shapeshift. He throws this big tantrum first of all, and he was a spoiled little brat in the early version, and he transforms into a bear out of rage and gets stuck in that form, and he meets this other bear in the forest afterward, and he's asked this bear to take them. His people are nomadic, and so when he comes back to find his tribe, they've moved on, and so this bear helps him find his tribe. That's the whole journey, is him finding the tribe, and it turns out he takes him to these other bears at the salmon run, and he doesn't understand, and then he comes to find out that he's actually stuck as a bear forever, and this other bear transforms back, and it was his father the whole time, and they've kind of struck up this relationship that they never had before, and so then he was able to, and then his father transforms back into a bear, and they walk off into the salmon run, and they live the rest of their lives as bears. It was kind of a neat story. But as things go, we had some rules in the story that were kind of weird, and so it just kind of morphed and changed into the movie that it became. I'm really struggling with this here. I want to get a good pose. Why put the scene in orange Why put the scene in an orange color? I love the tone and was wondering about the color study. We wanted it to be warm and bright, and if you're talking about the transformation, we wanted this warmth, and that's why we did that. We played a lot of complementary colors in there too, if you notice. So there was that as well. The other thing you might notice that, we did two things. The movie's about seeing through another's eyes. And so we did two things to enhance that idea. One was in the first act, before Kenai becomes a bear, the color is very desaturated. It's almost gray throughout. It's not black and white, but everything's very desaturated. When he opens his eyes as a bear and we go to his POV, his point of view, everything becomes very saturated for the rest of the film. So he's literally seeing things. He's seeing more broadly. He's seeing with more color. The other thing, to literally show he's seeing more broadly, seeing the world in a broader view, is that we changed the aspect ratio. The first part of the movie is in a regular 1:8:5, which is just regular widescreen. And then when he opens his eyes, it opens up to CinemaScope. So the screen literally gets wider, gets bigger, so that he sees differently. Were the Northern Lights animated traditionally or digitally? They were animated digitally. Digitally. Wow, digitally. Oh, I got a pose. I think I got a pose.
So what was the inspiration for Brother Bear to start with?
Well, Brother Bear, there was a lot of inspiration. Talking about the, the transformation myths. There was that, but then also, I wanted, this idea of seeing through another's eyes, seeing, understanding. Basically, I wanted people to see this and get it as a lesson of understanding others, right? Understanding people, seeing through another's eyes. And so one big thing happened while we were still trying to figure out the crux of the story, and that was 9/11 happened. And after 9/11, we started seeing a lot of people here in the States that were being persecuted for being Middle Eastern, for having dark skin, and especially Middle Eastern, people that were, they'd be third, fourth generation Americans, and they were still being persecuted by ignorant people that just, didn't like who they were. And that really struck me. And that's where the idea of Brother Bear, seeing through another's eyes and understanding who they are and understanding that, they're just like us. We're all people. We're all human. And that really was, that's where it really kind of came together for us, is, right after 9/11, and we used those themes to try to tell that story.
How's it like to co-directing with another director versus directing something on your own?
It's great. It's really great working with another director, especially if you mesh. And Bob and I really meshed very well. And I think this pose is going to work. And the workload on doing an animated film is huge. And so I want to give him like a cross between human hands and bear hands. And so it's a huge workload. And so a lot of it has to be split up. And Bob's background was layout. I say was. Unfortunately, Bob passed away several years ago, and that was really tough because he was a very good friend of mine, and he was a great guy. But Bob would take and do, like, his background was layout, and figuring out the the camera and all that kind of stuff. My background being animation and character design, and I would cover a lot of that stuff. And so together, we covered a lot of the film with our disciplines, and so it was great because we could break up our responsibilities, and it made it easier to get everything done. YouTube question: do I have any tips on how to get a steady hand for inking or detailed work? Just got to do it a lot. That's the only thing I can tell you. Just do it a lot. A Twitch comment: watching the movie the other day, I thought something was wrong with the settings on my TV because of the change in aspect ratio. Nope, we did that on purpose. That's funny.
Can you have a course that explains how all the timing charts work? Oh, I still don't understand those things in my 2D animation class.
Well, it's funny. I'm gonna go over a lot of that in my animation course that I'm doing now. So yes.
While at Disney, did you have a right to add to a drawing that you think that needed it? Being the director?
Oh yeah, I was a director, so sure. That's exactly, that's one of the benefits of being the director. Yeah. Often I wouldn't, though. I would, we'd send it back to the artist to do it.
Someone recommends, how about giving him his human head with closed eyes and his hands and arms turning into bear paws?
Yeah, I might. I'm still just kind of searching right now. I know this is kind of going tediously slow, but that's just what's happening.
Could you use a vertical composition?
I could. I might do that too. Actually, that's a good idea. Vertical composition coming up. I'm going to do it 20 by 16. Actually, that's not vertical. I'm going to rotate it. There we go, and do it that way.
How did the Moose Brothers happen? Those guys made me cry of laughter many times throughout the movie. Same here.
What was that?
How did the Moose Brothers came to be?
Oh, well, Bob and I were always huge fans of Bob and Doug McKenzie. They were characters that were on SCTV back in the 70s. They also did a movie called Strange Brew. And we just loved that show. We loved those characters. Bob is Canadian. That was another thing. And so we just realized that we had to have these moose characters and make them Bob and Doug. It was really, that's how it came about. We just never thought of it as any other thing. The Twitch question is, what is my goal for this piece? Do I want to do something dynamic and powerful? Yes, I do. Yep. And then YouTube question, how would I recommend going about putting my own spin on legends and their stories? I'm working on a story based around multiple legends, and I'm curious about your opinion on the matter. The first thing you got to figure out is what do you have to say? What do you want to say? What is your story about? That's the first thing. And then after that, you can, it'll kind of shape itself out. If you know what you want to say already, then it's going to, if you're following the template of the stories that you've already done, or that you're modeling it after, it will find a way. Put it that way, because that's what we did. Once we found what we wanted to write the story about, and we knew, I spent quite a bit of time, over a year, studying Native American myths and legends and that sort of thing, and really got a sense of what those stories were meant to be, feel like. I don't like that. Sorry, when I struggle with my drawing and the pose, I have a hard time talking at the same time. I'm so sorry.
Did Brother Bear have a mix of CGI?
Yeah, there was some CG in there. There was some CG in there. I don't know what to do with that other arm.
What tribe is Kenai's tribe based off of?
We looked at Athabascan and Inuit, but we purposely set the story back during the last ice age so that we could have a little bit of creative license with it.
With like the mammoths and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, struggle, struggle, struggle.
The struggle is real.
It is real. Today it is. Those clothes coming off. Maybe, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to maybe bring, there we go. There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Brother.
Could you divide the piece of the bear, so the bear on top, some swirly surreal could be in the center, the lower part being
You lost me, you lost me, you lost me.
basically
Say it
bear
again.
top, swirly thing middle, and then
Yeah, I'm going to move him around here in just a minute.
yeah, I tried to read it out, but I lost control.
Yeah. You shorted out.
I'm doing a character acting exercise based on a pre-recorded lines. Can't wait for your acting course. Do you have any advice on designing a character for such an exercise?
Yeah, I mean, what is the type of, oh my gosh, this is so bad. What is the what is the goal of the shot that you're doing, and design it accordingly. That's, I mean, the character's got to have a background, and there we go. That's feeling better. Let me rotate this. Whoops. Nope.
I'm still curious why you choose bears above all other animals to draw.
I just like them. There's got to be something you like, and I've just always been fascinated by bears. And
How many bears have you drawn?
7. What attributes led the Disney managers to consider you a worthy choice as a director? I think it was story, passion, my ability. I'm sorry, I got to turn on my fan here because I'm roasting. I had a very passionate drive. I wouldn't shut up about it. And but I also had a crew that, I ran the crew pretty well, and I worked with people pretty well. I think that helped. So there's a few of those things. Let me see if that comes together. There we go. How we're coming together better. Hey, Aaron, can you share some specific lessons that you learned from Glenn? Something that we as animators can practice ourselves to improve the quality of our animation. Yeah, one of the biggest things I learned from Glenn is drawing loose, drawing the way I'm drawing now, just getting in there. And actually, I want to give him a bigger neck too. Getting in there and just chiseling it, almost, it's like literally like you're chiseling and sculpting. Glenn's drawings are sculptural, and as an artist, I really grew as an artist when I saw how he drew, and it inspired me so much. And so that was huge.
Did Tanana have her own totem? If not, which one do you think she would have?
Probably an owl for wisdom or something like that. Well, actually, wisdom was, I think wisdom was more of a fox or raven. They were tricksters too. But I think that would have been Tanana. She would have been a raven. Get the rib cage in here. So, there we go. I think this is feeling better. So this is Nick says regarding directing. Oh yeah, you also worked your way up and supervised many characters. I did. I was a supervisor on several characters, uh, and worked my way up that way. I started out as a cleanup artist, and over the years just worked my way up just through perseverance, you know. And yeah, now we're getting somewhere I like now, and that helped. So I want to get this kind of, I want to get a gesture. We've got this S shape coming through. Maybe some of the drapery comes down like so.
What's your favorite song from the Brother Bear soundtrack?
Um, oh, that's, I don't know. The transformation.
Yeah.
The transformation song. The transformation song was that's a really great example of global working together globally. Um, because Phil Collins, who we worked with, writing all the music, Phil wrote it in English, and then we sent it up to the University of Alaska, where they were able to translate it for us into Inuit, and then we recorded it with the Bulgarian Women's Choir, because they have this really beautiful kind of ethereal sound to their music. And so it was recorded by the Bulgarian Women's Choir, written by Phil Collins, and translated into Inuit, native Inuit. Basically, for those of you who don't know, they're Eskimos. For those, what you know as an Eskimo is actually Inuit. Well, there's a lot of different people that kind of fit the Eskimo label, I guess, in Siberia and northern Quebec and whatnot. Whatnot.
Is the hierarchy style organization of artists' jobs the same on every feature film, or does it vary based on the project?
It's basically the same on every film, but it does vary from project to project. Yes, if you're talking about individuals, people will rise up in ranks and things like that, and get promoted from one movie to the next. And but as far as just the way things get done by whatever position, that's basically the same from film to film. YouTube question: how many movies shorts have I directed? By the way, watching How to Hunt a House is a Halloween tradition in my house. Yay, that's the first thing I ever directed. We love watching it. It's one of our favorite Goofy shorts. We watch it every year. Yeah, Dustin likes that one too. I don't. As far as directed, there's probably 4 or 5 things that I've directed. Brother Bear is the only Disney feature that I've done, and it's the last feature that I directed that actually made it to the screen. I've directed quite a bit since Brother Bear came out, but unfortunately, a lot of what I've done hasn't made it to the screen. Um, I've done commercial work, shorts, um, uh, and feature. Um, YouTube question: is it true that Disney has or had a clause in the contract that any art made by the artist while working for them belonged to Disney, including stuff they did on their own time? Yes, that was true. So when I negotiated my contract, although it wasn't really enforced, um, you know, th- they just did that to cover themselves. But we, as artists, when I negotiated I'd have my lawyer just basically throw in there, hey, if I'm doing stuff on my own, it's mine. And that way, because I did a lot of fine art as well, painting, and I wanted to make sure that I owned it. And so, and they were always great about that. They always said, yeah, no problem. So, but now that's true. And that's basically, if you're coming up with ideas for new animated movies or something like that, it keeps them from it keeps you as the artist from running off to another studio when you're working for them. So it protects them. I understand why they did it.
How do you feel about the Brother Bear Trail in California Adventure?
Um, I can't remember it that well. I've only been there once.
I think the one time you went was when we all went together at the adventure.
The question I have here is a Periscope question. Did I look at bears in previous Disney works when considering the style and design of Brother Bear? No, we didn't. We wanted to keep it really fresh. We didn't want to go off of we didn't want to copy anything that had been done previously, and so I'm going to start up in the head too. So we studied real bears, you know, extensively, and I went and camped with them in the wild. Had some pretty close encounters too. Um, but as far as looking at other bears, from there's always the real classic one that Glenn Keane animated when he was young in Fox and the Hound, the bear that attacks the dogs. And yeah, I flipped through that animation, but it's very different than what we ended up with. And um, so no, we basically tried to keep it our own.
Have you been hugged by a bear, and are there pictures of that?
I've there are pictures of me around bears. Um, I don't have them with me right now. My dad's calling. I'm going to answer it just to freak him out. Hello, Dad. Sorry, folks. Hold on. No, I'm actually on a live stream right now. So you're talking to about 1,000 people from around the world. No, it's okay. I figured I'd answer it and put you make you feel bad.
Put him on speaker.
Is everything okay? You don't need me to take you anywhere or anything, do you? Okay, I'll call you back after the live stream. Okay. Everyone says hi. Okay, bye. He was all freaking out. Hey, there's the photo. There's Chuck and I. Let me pull that down. This is a picture of Chuck and I. There we go. There's a scene in the movie where the bears were Kenai and I put it as a layer. There's a
No.
there's a scene in the movie during "I'm on My Way," the "On My Way" song, where Kenai and Coda are leaning over a cliff and letting the wind hold them up, and that was based on a real experience. And this is a photo of the experience. This is us on this big giant rock down in Turnagain Arm, just outside of Anchorage, and there was like a 60-mile-an-hour wind blowing. And I actually could walk right up this rock, holding my sweater. But that's me and Chuck leaning into the wind, and flying away. It was pretty cool. So that made it into the movie. Nick says I can open this image in a new tab and show it. Well, I'm showing it right now. So that was that.
Is there anything okay with Papa?
Oh yeah, he's good. He was actually really apologetic and super embarrassed. So mission accomplished. All right. How we're 38 minutes into this and I'm still just working on the sketch.
How do you have a close encounter with a bear and don't die?
Yeah, you just have to know how to handle yourself. At one point, we were coming up over a ridge. We'd seen some dull sheep up in a mountain, and we stopped. This is in Denali National Park in Alaska. We were on a research trip for Brother Bear, and we came up over this kind of knoll. There was several of us walking side by side, and it was a mother grizzly with her cubs, and she was only about 50 yards away. And we stopped instantly. One of us kept walking because he didn't see him, but we got him to stop pretty quick. And Chuck kept walking because he was looking down. But we just didn't move. We didn't run, and we just froze. And she hoofed at us. She stomped her feet and hoofed at us, and we just froze in our spot. And then she kind of took her cubs and led them up the mountain away from us, and that's what happened there. There was another time where Tim Hodge, who was one of our story guys, and myself, we were camping in McNeil River State Park, which is really high concentration of grizzly bears, and they only allow 10 people a week to camp there. And you can only get in by lottery system, and it's really tough. But anyway, we were camping there, and they gave us air horns to blow in case we ever hear, in case a bear comes through the campsite. And so I was exhausted. I finally got my tent set up, and I was just so tired. I was beat, and so I crashed in my tent and was fast asleep. And I woke up the next morning, and everyone was talking about the bear that came through the campsite, and and had I heard, did I hear the horn, the air horns and all that? And I never heard a thing. I slept right through it.
I think your phone's vibrating again.
It is. I'm just ignoring it.
Do you have a favorite kind of bear? My favorites are polar bear, giant panda, and sloth bear.
Yeah, I love grizzlies and polar bears. I mean, I love all bears, obviously. YouTube question: what was it like working with Phil Collins, and what was the process? Phil Collins is a workaholic, so it was great working with him, and he's very much a part of our story process. So, and he gets it. So it was great. The process was we'd come up with an idea for a sequence where that would probably need a song. We would realize, and so we would board it, and then we would pitch it to him, and then he'd go away and write. Then we would reboard according to what he wrote. And as he's writing, he would be meeting with us. He'd call me at home. He'd call us at the studio. We had a video conferencing system set up in his studio in Switzerland where he lives. And, we would do, bi-weekly, twice a week meetings to talk about story and what he was working on and all that kind of stuff. Here's another image I'm going to bring down here. This is on my shelf at my old house. Unfortunately, all of my maquettes are in storage. I got to get them out of storage. So I don't have any maquettes to show you, but this was our maquette for Coda. And then this is the music score in the background by Mark Mancina and Phil Collins. So I keep that on my shelf on display. And but Tony Cipriano did all of our maquettes. Tony Cipriano was a guy that we worked with, just an amazing sculptor, great artist, really good friend. We worked together at the studio for years and years, and he is going to be doing for us a course on sculpting, on creature art teacher. So stay tuned for that. We're working on getting that all kind of worked out, and it's going to be very, very cool.
I know that in the movie he doesn't wear it in the transformation, but could you give Kenai his totem in the image?
Yeah, I'll have it breaking off. I have a Twitch question, non-Brother Bear question. When you have pen pressure for opacity on, do I set a minimum opacity in the pen settings? I don't do that. I just kind of just do it anyway. I just leave it the way it is. And another Twitch question, non-Brother Bear question. When you have, that's the same question. It's repeated. I'm getting it 3 times. Nick, you're repeating the same question. There we go. Periscope question. There must be some kind of weird thing going on with our internet thing. Periscope question. What's my opinion on tattoos from an artist standpoint? I think tattoos are cool if they're done artistically and if they mean something. For me, a tattoo really has to mean something. And I've got a tattoo that's very personal to me, and my kids have tattoos that are personal to them. So I think tattoos are cool as long as it means something to you.
They just said bears remind me of Yellowstone National Park.
Well, my tattoo, I've got a tattoo right here on my arm, and it's a portrait of my wife Karen after she passed away. The last thing she said on the last day she was alive was, "Keep on living, I love you all." And so I have that tattooed, and her favorite artist was Mucha. So I did her portrait in the style of Mucha. And one of the great things is the artist that did the tattoo also went to Ringling College of Art and Design, where I went to college. He used to live in the same town as me, and we just had a lot in common. His name is Zulu. And he told me to bring some of Karen's ashes, and we mixed Karen's ashes with the ink for the tattoo, and so she's in there. She's in my arm, and that's what I mean by having, a tattoo that means something. If you can, it doesn't have to be as deep as that, but I'm a big advocate for making sure you want to make sure that years down the road it's you don't regret it. uh, oh, and Nick says, "Hey, sorry, I don't know why it's doubling." Okay, thanks, Nick. I don't know either.
What would Coda look like as an adult bear?
Bigger.
Bigger.
All right, I'm noodling this. I've got to get moving. It looks like he's coming out of the shower and the towel's falling off.
Don't look at me!
Transforming into a bear.
Do you have any suggestions on work/life balance while keeping your drive as an artist?
You know what? You just part of broadening your art and making it better is getting out and living life, and at least as far as I'm concerned. And so, make sure you put time in there to do that, to get out and just experience different things, and have relationships and see places and meet people, um, and have experiences that are gonna that you're gonna react to emotionally. Because I think creating great art has a lot of emotion to it, and just get out and live.
Is there an online course I can follow and graduate? Oh, I mean graduate.
What's that?
You misspelled it at first. It is sound like graduate. But is there an online course I can follow and graduate?
On graduate?
And graduate.
Oh, and graduate? Not that I know of. I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by and graduate.
Basically, treating it like an actual college.
No, not that I know of. I think everything I know of is just supplemental. There's a YouTube question about bear anatomy and human anatomy. The human anatomy resembles in some way that of a bear. They're actually very similar. If you, and that's one of the reasons also that natives felt this kinship to bears, because this is kind of morbid, but if you see a bear skinned out, they look very, very human. They look very human. And so that is, that's part of their, the natives' brotherhood.
What would Coda's totem be if he ever got one?
I don't know. That's a good question. Oh, that's a good question.
Are you going to paint the spirit's lights around the bottom?
Yeah, I'm gonna put light. Whoops. I'm gonna put light around him. I'm not gonna do a lot of the animal. Whoops. Doggone it.
You okay?
Yeah, my brain's shorting out. I'm not gonna put a lot of animal totems around him, but I do want to do the lights. I'm gonna put him up in the top, right there. Here we go. I want to follow. These are just going to be guides.
When will the sculpt lessons commence, and will you have more than one course on the subject? And do you sculpt yourself?
I don't sculpt myself, and we will have more than one. It's going to be digital sculpting in ZBrush and traditional sculpting, and both by Tony Cipriano. What 2D software did I use for Brother Bear? Big fan, by the way. We didn't use any 2D software. All done on paper, baby. The software is called paper.
Old school.
Yep. It was old school. Now we did, there was some 3D stuff done in there, and some of the backgrounds were painted digitally in Photoshop. But yeah, what we did everything on paper. All right, let's get into coloring this guy.
You know what I always thought was crazy is the fact
You?
that.
Oh, look who we got here. Hey, little guy. Hi. This is Kit Kat. Hi, Kit Kat. Can you say hi to the people out here? Say hi. Who's Kit Kat?
He's just like, put me down.
He's super chill. Yeah, he's super chill. Got another great photo. This one's one Nick brought up. Brother Bear was nominated for an Oscar, and so we went to the Oscars. And here's an image here. I got to blow it up. This is our Oscar lunch that we went to.
It looks kind of.
I put it underneath the drawing there. But there I am, way up in the back. I'm standing next to Roy Disney. Roy Disney and I got to be friends. The last few years I was at the studio, and he would come up to the studio, up to the Brother Bear room, and we, Bob, Chuck, and myself, and Roy and his wife, we'd hang out and talk about all kinds of stuff. But he was nominated at this point. He was nominated for a short he directed called Destino, which is it was a really great short. And so sorry, I just brain shorted again. And then we were there for Brother Bear. This is the lunch that we had that day. These are all the nominees that showed up for the lunch. So that was kind of cool. But let me dump that and go back to here. So I am going to just going to do in some local color like I do. I'm going to keep my same process that I always do. And I'm going to keep it kind of loose.
It's crazy how 10, 15 years ago, drawing on paper was the main way to animate everything. It was all 2D animated. And
I know, right?
Nowadays it's all CG and paper's considered old school.
I know, it's
Imagine
crazy.
It's going to be 15 years from now. It's going to be all hologram, and then working on Cintiqs like this.
It'll be VR. It'll be VR.
Well, it's VR now. We're breaking into VR, but I'm sure 10, 15 years from now we'll have hologram technology and all that stuff.
Voice recognition technology.
Voice recognition technology in the left in Florida.
So I'm just laying down a base color. That's all I'm doing right now. I gotta pick up the pace here, man.
Need to pick up the
brother.
Yeah, it's almost 2 o'clock already.
Dustin and I are a little bit subdued today.
Well, we expect it. It was Halloween last night. We had a little bit of fun.
We had so many kids show up. It's always such a big party at our house, in our neighborhood for Halloween, and it's so much fun. It's my favorite holiday because of all the kids that come out, and the kids are all really good. And we had a huge pile of full-size candy bars, and not one kid took more than he was allowed, except for one lady. There's one lady that came walking by, and she was 50. She's my age, and she wasn't dressed up. She just came walking down the street, and she saw all the candy, walked over, and grabbed 8 candy bars and stuffed them in her pocket and took off.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I had to tell her to ease up on it, get to not take so much. It was really weird.
What size was the brush when you did the cleanup lines there?
What size was it? Oh, I varied the size, but it was small, the 35 pixels. Now this is a high-res image, so the brush sizes are going to be a little larger.
I'm still curious at how Koda would look all grown up. Would he be as big as his mother and Tug?
Yes, he'd be bigger than his mother. Because male bears tend to get bigger than the females. So he would be bigger. Statistically, he would die before he became an adult.
Why is that?
Because statistically, most young bears don't make it to adulthood. So let that sink in. That's a little depressing.
Why'd you have to say that? Have anyone fainted from meeting you?
Nobody's fainted from meeting me, no. That's funny.
They shook in fear, though.
Oh, they didn't shake in fear.
Well, maybe not fear, but more like nervousness.
Yeah, they did get nervous. I've had a few of them kind of shaky.
Just like trembling and shaky.
Which is so funny to me. I just don't understand that.
Like, dude, just relax. Everything's all good.
By the way, Aaron, you are clearly drawing a furry. Oh, I am not. I guess I am.
You kind of are. In that mid-transformation point, it kind of is.
That's kind of funny. So insightful. That was somebody that was obviously at the last stream.
I'm talking about furries.
Yeah. Let's see here. We'll go a little redder, go a little lighter. I want to get his skin color in here.
Yeah, Kendra Wolfer said, the first time I met you, we had some kick-ass pancakes. Can't wait to get down there again.
Yes. Yes, we did. Actually, I'm craving those pancakes again.
Yeah, I'm craving to get something to eat after this.
Oh, we went to Manzano's.
You went to Manzano's?
Yeah.
Oh.
Stuffed my face.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
I think on the way home I'm going to stop by Wendy's.
There you go. All right, so I'm just varying up. Now what I'm doing is just varying up some of the color within the local color.
What was the most complicated character to animate in Brother Bear? I bet it was Coda's mom. She's like the most realistic bear animated in the film.
She was pretty difficult, and she was done very realistically. She was done expertly by Rune Beneke, who is the supervising animator of her. He's a genius. He's one of the best animators I know, and you know, most of that stuff, I think all of it actually, he did all of that out of his head. He didn't. He'd studied bears to get their movement and everything, but as far as the actual animation, he just did that right out of his head.
Wow.
And it was pretty genius.
Well, what do you think? Who do you think was the most complicated?
Oh yeah, sorry. You know, the moose were really complicated because the moose were animated by hand, and the antlers were roughed in, but then the antlers were actually digitally done so that they would lock into place.
Oh, really?
And move. Yeah. Yeah. So that they would be really solid, and so that was a little bit of a pain in the butt to do.
I didn't know that the antlers were CG.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. They were drawn in first, but then replaced with CG.
Huh.
YouTube comment: Brother Bear was me and my grandmother's favorite movie. I love that. When she died, I watched Brother Bear in memory of her. Thank you for creating it. You just made my day. You just made my day. You're welcome. I enjoyed making it. It was the hardest thing. I always tell people when I started that movie, I had been an animator and I had worked on, 8 or 10 movies up to that point. Maybe not 10, but it's like 7 or 8 movies up to that point. So I really thought I knew how to make movies. And, but I didn't know what I didn't know. That's what I always tell people. I just didn't know. What I didn't know was story and how to construct a story in a very compelling way. I liked telling stories, but I'd never really written and a story on that caliber, like for a screenplay, and and I just didn't know what I didn't know, and so going into it, it was extremely difficult. Uh, but I had very patient executives, really wonderful executives. Had a wonderful crew that was patient, and I learned. I read every book on script writing, story, took every class I could, all while making the movie. And I always tell everybody that Brother Bear was my 6 year filmmaking class because it took 6 years to make the film, and by the end of it, I learned how to write a story. Uh, Periscope question: for sequential art or character designing, how do you go about setting up a portfolio for college? Um, well, you obviously, like for storyboarding, which is sequential art, you want to put your best storyboards in there. If you have them. If there's something that you haven't done yet, um, just put work in there that's going to show your ability to draw or think sequentially. If you have something that you can show in that way. But if you're just heading off to college for something like that, remember they're going to teach you how to draw sequentially. You don't have to know it right away. But I would definitely just focus on showing your ability to draw.
Any preferred snacks while drawing or animating by your desk?
Well, for a long time, I kept a big jar of these little sesame soaked dried fish. It sounds really gross, but they were delicious. I used to eat them like popcorn. I had a giant jar of them. It's a Thai thing. And I used to. There was a Thai shop that I used to go to, not like suit and tie, but like a Thai restaurant type stuff, and they were really good. But otherwise, I don't really eat and draw uh, because I don't want anything on my fingers.
Do you instantly know where the light hits the character in every drawing?
Well, yeah, I mean you have to know. If you don't, sometimes I'll search for it. I'll search it for sure, but you have to know. Otherwise, you can't render it, right? In this case, I'm thinking about even having the light coming from within him, so that's going to be something I'm going to change in a little bit.
Which I made a very nice comment here. Brother Bear is one of the best movies Disney ever did, and thank you so much for providing it to us.
Thank you.
It's the one movie that I watch when I'm depressed, and it always cheers me up.
that
So
makes
thank you.
that makes me happy. That makes me happy. Uh, do I have any YouTube question? Do I have any advice on moving far from home to work at an animation job? If it's a great job, then do it. And I know leaving home when you're young is really tough, but you got to spread those wings and get out there and do it. And if it's a great studio, then you'll do okay. Twitch question: I've tried to draw normal cats for some time, but I don't get it. I think because I don't really know the anatomy. But how do I learn the anatomy? Looking up and drawing bones and muscles? Yes, you can do that. You can draw your own cat. Um, there's a lot of different ways to learn that anatomy. I mean, you've got the internet at your disposal. So I would start there for sure. So I'm going to start working on some of this background.
Get some of those wavy colors in there.
A Periscope question for sequential. I just answered that. I guess I missed one at the top. Sorry. Sorry, Nick.
Dang it. Are we getting some of those swirly colors in there?
I'm gonna put some swirly colors in there.
Some swirly colors.
And he's gonna have some color in front of him as well.
Yeah, what books on story were the most helpful? And can you put them in a link below later?
Yes, Save the Cat was probably the most helpful in understanding um, structure, filmmaking, mainstream movie structure. That really helped a lot. It's called Save the Cat um, by Blake. Drawing a blank. And then Story by Robert McKee. The book is just called Story, and it's Robert McKee. Um, both of those were probably my favorite books. And I'm going to go in later with.
Do you like Moomin?
Do I like what?
Moomin? Moomin?
I don't know who that is. Moomin. I don't know who that is. I don't know.
I did a double take when I read 15th Anniversary. Is the film really that old?
I know.
Am I really that old?
I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
It is insane.
I'm going to try some different overlays.
The movie came out. I think you finished that right around the time when I turned 13. I think I was because it released 2003. Was it 2003?
Yeah, 2003.
Yeah. So I think I was either 12 or I think it was 13. What month? It was on. Oh yeah.
So I put everything. I put this layer on overlay. You can see I can lighten. I want everything very kind of.
Do you think
organic.
if we took an awarded CG movie's best qualities and make a 2D animation movie, it would have the same success?
I don't know. I think it depends on the movie. I don't know. I personally wouldn't be interested in doing something like that. I'd want to come up with something new.
Why that? Just.
Huh?
Like
What?
Like, I think what they're asking is, do you think it would be possible if instead of doing it in CG, if they did in two?
I think if it's a good story, if it's a strong enough story, then yeah, I think you can. I think it's an uphill battle. It's just I just think animation, 2D animation doesn't hold the same. I know it does for a lot of people watching right here, but there's a lot of. It doesn't hold the same thing that it used to hold back in the 90s, I don't think. I could be wrong, and people might wholeheartedly disagree with me, which I hope is the case. Periscope question: if I was going to pitch a series or movie idea, where do I start? You've got to get a hold of the studio and set something up, which is almost impossible. It's very difficult. You have to get an agent a lot of times, or a lawyer. That's how I did it. But I also, because I was in the industry for so long, I knew a lot of people at some of the studios that I would pitch at. And so that helped.
Moomin is a Scandinavian character with beautifully illustrated books and several animated series based on it.
Oh, gotcha. So I'm going to create a little bit of light behind him.
Brother Bear was one of my uncle's favorite movies. He said me and my twin brother were like the Moose Brothers. How's it going, Bear?
I'm not a bear. I hate bears.
Oh, sorry. Oh, wait, no, that's later.
Don't call me that. Oh, sorry, Mr. Bear?
Oh, gee, you're one big beaver.
Matt on YouTube says, Brother Bear was the very first movie I took my son to. It will always be a special memory for us. Thank you. Oh, I love that. That makes me happy again. For me, my first movie, my first animated movie, I don't know if it was my first movie, but my grandfather took me to go see Robin Hood when it came out in the theaters in 1973. I was 5 years old.
I can't remember what my very first movie was.
You were born in the movie theater, practically.
Practically, yeah.
Your mother and I were always seeing movies.
Although, the first movie I ever saw in 3D that got me into the 3D craze was Beowulf.
Oh, yeah.
Never seen that in 3D for the first time. And
yeah.
It blew my mind.
My mind. Okay, so I've got to. What I'm trying to figure out now is the lighting. I kind of want him to have like light. I mean, like coming from inside him, which is going to be he's going to be lit. This is really difficult lighting situation because he's kind of lit from all over. I might try creating a little core shadow, along the top maybe, and light him from below. So I'm going to go warm with the shadow. I want all the shadow, and this is a case, I get the question a lot, is there ever a case where shadows are warm? I think this is a case where the shadows will be warm.
Have you worked with toy designers, and what do you think about relationships between the illustration and toy industry?
Um, yes, I have met Floyd Norman, and I know him fairly well. I haven't worked with toy designers before. I don't know. I have not. I think there should be more of a relationship, especially in situations where toys are being made from characters and all of that sort of thing. So I think that's important. Um, I don't think toy designers necessarily need to be part of the filmmaking process, if that's the question. But I do think uh, it helps to have them in the loop as the film is being made. What are my thoughts on Brother Bear 2? I don't have any, unfortunately. I never saw it. I never saw Brother Bear 2. I tried watching it about 10 years ago. No, not 10 years ago. Maybe 5 years ago. I tried to watch it, and I hope I don't offend anybody that worked on it if you're listening, but I got through about 10 minutes of it, and I had to turn it off. It wasn't what I would have done, so I didn't finish watching it.
I heard they're making,
So I haven't really given it the chance it probably deserves.
I heard they're making a live action Lilo and Stitch now. How does your brother feel about that since he worked on that movie?
I have no idea. I haven't talked to Travis about that, and I didn't know that they were doing that, so I had no idea.
And would you be open to a live action Brother Bear version?
Oh, I think Brother Bear would make a great live action film. If you could change one thing in the original movie, what would that be? Ooh. I would love to go in and re-record a lot of the performances. I really kind of cut my teeth during that time, meaning I learned, and I think some of the vocal performances could be a lot better. So that when I watch it, I cringe in a lot of places, just because I think we could have done better. I've learned a lot since then, but I mean, all in all, I'm still pretty happy with everything. Who is the character designer assigned to Brother Bear? Um, there wasn't a specific character designer. I started out designing some of the characters initially, and then Terrell Whitlatch came in and helped us a lot with animal anatomy and understanding how bears are put together and all that. But each supervising animator was assigned to design their characters, and then it was the art director's job to make sure that the designs, and our job as directors, to make sure that the designs stayed consistent, so it felt like it was all part of the same movie.
Who painted all the backgrounds in the movie?
The background department, there was a lot of guys, but it was Chen Yi Cheng who was the production designer. It was his personal painting style that we fell in love with and wanted him, we wanted him to teach the background department basically how to paint like him. Have I seen any of the 15th anniversary merchandise? I've seen a coat of plush and a few pins. I haven't seen any. Actually, I want to go get something real quick.
Hi. Well, I guess I'm temporarily taking over.
So I showed this on a stream a while back. Ooh! Oh, that wasn't good.
Good.
But this is a painting by Chen Yi. Not Chen Yi. What am I saying? JG. Because How's this look, Dustin? I can't tell.
Looks good. A little bit more to your left. There.
So this is JG's painting. He did a show at our studio, and Bob and I just really have always loved his work and his very chunky and bold approach to landscape painting. And so when we saw his work in this show, and I bought this painting, that's when we went to Jay and we said, "Hey, we want the movie to look like your paintings." And so that's how it started. That's where it came about.
And back to.
And back to it. All right. Boy, this is going slow. Okay.
Are you a furry?
No, I'm not a furry. That's funny.
How are your ribs?
My rib is still hurting.
Still?
Yes. If I cough or laugh really hard, oh man, it's killing me.
Has the pain gotten worse, or
No,
has it just been
it's slowly subsiding, but I'm pretty sure it's cracked. I've broken bones before, and I'm pretty sure it's cracked.
Nice.
But you can't really do anything about it, so I'm not bothering going to the doctor. So I'm just doing a little bit of modeling in here. The lighting is so intense in here, and I don't really have any reference for it. I'm just kind of making it up as I go. This is going to be an interesting one.
Were you also in charge of the budgets throughout the movie?
Yes. We were given a budget, and we worked very closely with the finance department. Normally, up until just a couple movies before that, Disney really didn't let the filmmakers in on the budget, which I thought was completely asinine. Because, if you're being told you can't do something because of a budget, and you don't know what the budget is, then how are you supposed to make proper creative decisions? And so they realized that after a while, and so they finally started giving us responsibility to make sure that we hit our budgets. And so we would have weekly budget meetings, and we would see where we were going over, where we were saving places. We'd have to make decisions on creative decisions based on if we were, for instance, if we were going over budget, where can we save that money in other places? Cut. If you watch the salmon run, a whole bunch of the salmon run, the bears are framed from the waist up, so you don't see them in the water. And we just put sound effects in there because water is so expensive to animate. So we saved money by just using the sound effect of water and not actually animating the water. We just picked the places that we needed it the most, and that's where we did it.
Speaking of saving, have you saved your work so far?
Nope. Lines of Rajah on YouTube says, I think Brother Bear is one of the most underrated Disney movies ever. Just watch the scene where Kenai tells Coda what happened to his mom. Such a powerful scene and so well done. It makes me cry. Thank you very much. I actually storyboarded that scene, that sequence. That sequence was actually my idea. We wanted it to be both, see it from a distance, and we also wanted to hear it up close. We couldn't figure out how we were going to do that. And so this idea of cross dissolving between doing this long rotating camera, I remember sitting at home thinking about this long rotating camera and cross dissolving between both close up and removed as the song played. And so I went ahead and pitched it to the guys that way and boarded it, and we all liked it, and so it made it into the movie.
Off subject, but why would you break your ribs? It's very unnecessary.
I know, right?
How much is it just to animate a film?
Our budget for
just the animation.
I don't know how much I can't remember what the budget was for animation. The budget for the whole movie was $90 million. And we actually brought it in for $6 million under budget. So here I'm just struggling away here, trying to get this lighting right. Not sure I'm getting it right, but we'll just keep working on it. Nick says he just ordered the 10th. Just ordered.
15th anniversary.
Ooh.
Photo plush bears.
So I'm going to go ahead and tell them, Nick. So Nick just ordered 10 15th anniversary Coda plush bears, and we will give them away, give some of them away on future streams and to subscribers at creatureartteacher.com. That's a great idea, and we'll sign them, or I'll sign them. Yeah, oh, so once again, just we'll go ahead and pull that up if you can, Dustin. The code today, if you're watching, if you go to creatureartteacher.com and type in Brother Bear 15, you will get 15% off at checkout. Brother Bear 15 in celebration for what we're doing today, what we're talking about, the 15th anniversary of Brother Bear being released in theaters. There we go. Type in at checkout Brother Bear 15 and you'll get that 15% discount. Yeah, I think I'm going to underlight them. Make it really strong.
Make it strong.
Strong like bull.
Strong like bear.
Speaking of, that's a good piece of trivia right there. We did a bear. We wanted a Russian bear, and yeah, because the bears are talking about all their travels, and in our story, we figured the land bridge between Siberia and Alaska would still be there because this is back during the Ice Age, and so this was we wanted a Russian bear, but we didn't have anyone that had the right voice that spoke Russian. We had several guys in the studio that spoke Russian, but not with the right voice quality. And so we had a guy at the studio that was Croatian, and it sounded Slavic. It sounds Slavic to us. So he talks about the time that he had and trying to cross the land bridge and all this kind of stuff. But he's actually speaking Croatian. So there's your little piece of trivia there.
So if you speak that language, you would be able to understand them, but everyone else is like, yeah.
So here's a YouTube question. Would I be mad if I stopped watching this live stream to go watch Brother Bear? No. Go for it. I wouldn't be mad.
I mean, if it was any other movie, then yeah, but we'll give you a pass since it's Brother Bear.
So now we're getting a good sense of light here. This is feeling better. I'm going to put a lot of debris. I think the shadow, I want to take that. There, nope. There it is. This one, yeah, I want to take that. I want to get rid of that shadow.
How did you get accepted in the Disney animation?
Way back in the day, I went to the Ringling College of Art and Design. I went there from 1986 to 1989. And, you got to realize back then animation wasn't as big as it is now. And so I wasn't interested in animation, never was. I went to school to be an illustrator. I wanted to be a painter. And I wanted to work for National Geographic as an illustrator. And so once I got to school, I found out that National Geographic only freelanced. And I freelanced my way through college to pay everything off. And I didn't want to freelance anymore. I wanted a studio gig somewhere. And so I found out that there was a couple of companies that were coming to the studio. One was Hallmark Cards, and the other one was Disney. And so, lucky for me, Disney was first. Otherwise, I'd be doing Hallmark Cards right now. But I put together a portfolio. They were looking to see if they could train non-animators how to animate. Just people that could draw, and then see if they could teach them how to animate, because they had kind of tapped out all the schools at that point. They were going to Sheridan and CalArts, and um, there wasn't. They wanted to see if they could broaden their search, and so they came to Ringling. I made it in. I put together a portfolio of animal and human figure drawings, and I got accepted into the program, and I trained under Glenn Keane for 6 weeks. It was, I believe, and it was a very short internship, but he was a great teacher, and I should be doing this on a different layer. And I was hired right after that, and so I had 6 weeks of training, and I struggled with animation for like the first 2 weeks, but then it kind of clicked after those first couple of weeks, and I learned enough that I was hireable, and I went in as a cleanup assistant. And once I started working the next year after I graduated school, and once I started working, then that's where things really clicked, and I really learned a lot. As a member of the Society of Animal Artists, how do you deal with other... I just missed it. Sorry.
Wasn't the Get a Cave line a little PG rated?
No, I thought it was kind of funny. I don't think it was PG rated. As a member of Society of Animal Artists, how do you deal with other artists' negative view of digital art not being true art? Well, I'm actually not a member of the society anymore. I've bowed out because of just other my I've got so much other stuff going on. I do wish tradition or digital art was accepted more. I think a lot of societies, the Society of Animal Artists included, need to kind of broaden their opinions of what art is. So, I just think digital art should be part of that, and it's really not. It's not really accepted yet.
And you just wrote
But
that Aaron Blaise. All right.
that's pretty funny.
I thought you were done. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
That's all right. I just spit on the screen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So is Coda the only 15th anniversary plush?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not involved with Disney anymore, so I didn't even know they were doing a 15th anniversary anything. Did Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas improv any lines? They improved every line. We would go in and we would write their scenes, and they would record the scenes as we wrote them, and they would get a sense of what it is that we were looking for, and then they would do another 4, 5, 6 different takes, all improvisation, and I think we maybe used 5% of what we actually wrote, and used the other 95% of what they did. I could be overestimating, but they were insane. They were just... I usually sit in the booth to read against like if there was Keen Eye or something like that, I would read against them. But in the early days, they kicked me out of the booth because I would start laughing and ruin the take. So I had to sit outside after that. I got kicked out of my own recording session.
Nice. Hi, Aaron Dustin.
Hi.
I wanted to catch the stream early, but I guess I failed. This is more of a technical question, but what program do you use to record and screen capture at the same time? Is there a backup system to support the program? I'm attempting to record for my students and can't find a program that doesn't crash my Surface Pro 4 in the middle of a drawing.
OBS. We're using OBS,
Yeah,
right?
we're currently using a software called OBS, or Open Broadcast Software. It's free to use, and it is very easy to set up, and there's plenty of YouTube videos out there to get you up and running. So yeah, OBS Studios, and there's also Streamlabs OBS, which is more CPU efficient for anyone that is in need of that. So highly recommend any of that software.
Yeah, at one time I was strictly using ScreenFlow. Oh man, took a breath right out of me. ScreenFlow to do all of my screen recording, and uh, I have since given up on that, and I use exclusively just OBS. It's we can do a lot more with it. Just want to get a little texture in here. Oh man, oh that hurts. Okay, right on. Let's do this now. I am going to draw underneath. Where am I? There we go. I'm going to draw over the top of that. There. Now let's see what we got here.
I have a Surface Pro 4 with OBS, but it overheats after an hour of streaming.
Well, I don't know what to tell you there.
Maybe it might have the visual settings too high. Maybe if you lower to lower resolution, or maybe lower the bit rate, those might make it easier on the computer. If not, then try the Streamlabs version of OBS. It's called Streamlabs OBS, and it's easier to use and it's more efficient on process. So it won't push your computer too hard.
So here I'm wanting to add a little bit more light, a little brighter light to his underside. I want this to be bottom lit, somewhat, although there's light coming from everywhere. I want the strongest light, and I want him kind of rim lit a little bit too. I want to see how that's going to look. Probably should go even brighter with it. Yeah, I'm going to do that. There we go.
Unrelated question. How far in advance does one have to book you to twist your arm and do a seminar? And what are your star requests from the green room? Like barrel of whiskey, only decorated with pink zebras, etc.
Only green M&Ms.
Only green M&Ms.
No. No, we just, we have a very busy schedule. Our schedule fills up very fast, and we're booked out usually a year to a year and a half in advance, just because we travel a lot and we do a lot of lectures and talks and that sort of thing. We're booked out, and I shouldn't say a year and a half, about a year. And, we're booked right now all the way through April. Just as long as we have enough advance notice, then we can do pretty much anything you want.
Do you think it's possible to get a job straight away at Disney, or is it more realistic to work at other studios first? I know Shiyun Kim was employed at Disney straight from college.
Yeah, I mean, I was too. Shiyun's an amazing artist, and it depends on your caliber. If you're good enough, then you can do it right out of college. If you're not, and you've got a little bit more to learn, then that's the case. So it's hard to say, not knowing, the person asking the question, not knowing their skill level. But sometimes people need a little bit more time. Sometimes people don't make it to Disney at all. I mean, most of the time people don't make it to Disney at all. It's, there's only a few hundred people working there, or 2,000, I should say. And there's a lot of people that want to work there. So, having a backup plan is always a good option.
Do you miss your long hair?
I don't miss it at all. And it's funny, when I for 25 years I had long hair, and I would periodically cut it all off, and I would immediately start growing it again. And that's how, over 25 years I donated 8 feet of hair because I would cut it and then donate it and then start growing it again, and I did that for 25 years. Now I've just gotten older and I've gotten tired of hair in the drain and I've gotten tired of taking care of it, and
Yeah, that's my.
I can't get my hair short enough now. I love my having short hair.
Yeah, I'm kind of going through all those struggles because of my hair.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all this.
Yeah. You look like a lion.
Look at all this. Just rawr.
Rawr.
How do you develop good rendering and lighting skills for digital paints or drawings?
For me, it's about looking at life, looking at different lighting situations and emulating that. So anytime you can get out and draw from life, obviously that's going to be your best bet, because you're going to learn so much doing that.
That's road. You have the same hair as my horse, Dustin. That's my best horse impression.
Very nice.
I'll show you. I don't really that good questions now. Does Nick? Oh, looks like Nick's got something.
YouTube question at Disney: how long do animators have to practice drawing the characters or making test animations before the actual animation stage takes place to practice consistency? First of all, it's not animations. There's no S on the end of animation. That's a new thing done like in the last 20 years that I've never quite understood. I think engineers started saying animations. I don't know. But it's always, for me, it's always been animation, and it's a piece of animation. You don't do animations, you do animation. But anyway, that's my pet peeve. We would do generally, a couple of months, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. We would do that. We would practice.
So how long did it take you to do all the animations? What, triple X?
Triple X? Huh?
Triple X?
No, it's funny. All the old guys like me, we all, none of us understand the whole thing about animations, how that got started. But then everyone else, like Nick, Nick says animations as well. I think he does anyway. No, we never. I can't remember where it started, when it started. It's the proper way of saying it, animations, because everyone says it. But it's always been hard for us to. It sounds, for me, it sounds like fingers on a chalkboard. At Disney, oh, same question.
See what I have to go through?
I know.
And the questions are running slow.
Okay, so I'm just kind of going through and just adding some rim lighting on on different areas.
How long is a typical pre-production at the studio?
Usually pre-production is about 18 months. With about 24 months of production. Actually, no, I take that back. 4 years total. Yeah, it's usually 18 to 24 months of pre-production. That's including development. All right.
Are you still writing jingles?
Yellowstone National Park. Yeah. Teton National Park. It's grand. Yeah, see, I wrote that.
It's grand.
At Disney, how long? Oh, come on. I keep looking up there, and I keep thinking that it's changed. Come on, Nick.
What I need is more cowbell. Would this bear turn into a handsome native human?
Yes. Kenai was a very handsome young man.
He was alright.
Human Kenai was designed and animated by the famous Jim Jackson.
Really?
Yes. Jim Jackson, very unknown fact, very little known fact. He was the 11th man to walk on the moon.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
Did not
that
know
was
that.
Jim Jackson. Yeah. And now he's an animator.
Oh.
Jim Jackson and I have known each other since about the time you were born, Dustin. Right before you were born, actually, is when we met. 1990.
You're probably one of the craziest guys you knew at the time.
Not crazy, but very, very cool. Very cool. So he was animated by him. And then Kenai the bear, for those of you that don't know, was animated by equally famous and amazing Byron Howard. Now, for those of you that don't know, Byron Howard went on to start directing. Byron started out as a tour operator. He did the tour in the animation attraction at our studio. And he was determined to become an animator and worked super hard, came to all of the drawing, nighttime drawing courses and classes, and worked his way in. He got into the studio and became an animator pretty quickly. And he worked with me on Mulan. He was my assistant, but I didn't teach him anything. The guy was a genius. And then he went on to, when we went on to Brother Bear, he killed it. He killed it in on Lilo and Stitch as an animator as well. He was awesome. And and he started doing a little bit of story in that as well. So then when he came on to Brother Bear, I made him the supervising animator of Kenai the bear. And then he went on to he transferred out to California and did a lot of story work and co-directed Bolt, and then went on to co-direct Tangled, and then he just got the Oscar this last year for Zootopia. How cool is that?
That's awesome.
Will we ever do a Brother Bear director's commentary? Nick and I have been talking about doing it on YouTube. I'm not sure how we get around the copyright stuff. I'm not sure how we do that, but maybe we can set it up to where if you time it where you watch it and then then we talk. Where you watch it on your own, then we talk. You time it that way. Then there might be a way to do it that way. But when the movie first came out, when the DVD came out, Bob and I, we really didn't think anyone wanted to hear us yammer on about the movie, and so we decided to get Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas to come in and do the commentary as the Moose.
And that was a really, really funny thing to watch.
I loved it, and we just played the movie for them like 3 times, sat in a recording studio in California, or maybe it was New York, I can't remember, but and then we just let them riff, and it was awesome. I thought it came out really funny.
There's even a bit where where like a guy acts as a pizza delivery.
Yeah, that's Tim.
Oh yeah, that was Tim.
That's Tim Mertens. The guy that delivers the pizza during that bit is our editor, my friend Tim Mertens.
So is post usually longer than pre-production, or about the same?
No, post is usually a lot shorter. Post is usually about 8 to 10 weeks.
Because at that point it's just all finalizing stuff.
Yeah,
Post-production, you're still getting everything together.
Pre-production, you mean?
Yeah, pre-production. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-production, like you're still getting things planned out and assembled, so things can change just as much.
Yeah.
So post is usually like once everything's settled, like okay, this needs to be done.
Yes, you are right. I'm going to clean up some of this underdrawing.
Why was the original confession scene deleted where Kenai tells Coda that he kills mom? And did you want to keep the original version?
It was too in your face. We once we it was that's why we ended up with the version where we had the song and shoot. I don't want to do that. Hold on. There we go. It was too harsh. It was too much in your face. It was too on the nose, and so we wanted to pull back from it. So that's where we came up with the idea of doing the song and letting it go through the song. But we just picked key points where Coda would kind of break through the song, and we used those for the actual confession. But when we initially did it, it was just, that's why we cut it. It was just too much on the nose. And when we were recording Joaquin Phoenix, River Phoenix, his brother, had passed away not too long before that. It was very traumatic, and we didn't really think about it. Stupid us. But we, there is a scene where Kenai is searching through the water to find Sitka after Sitka has been killed by the glacier, and so I asked Joaquin to just kind of just riff, just go, like your brother is drowned, and you're trying to find him, and you're in a panic, and I set the whole scene up for him, and he started, and by the end of it, the poor guy was just in tears and sobbing, and I was so taken by his performance that I forgot to say cut, and so he, in the middle of it, he swore at me, and then he says, "Are you ever gonna say cut?" And I went, "Oh shit, sorry." And so it was quite an experience, and I'm drawing on the wrong layer again, and after that, we took what he recorded and we cut it into the film, and we played it for one of our screenings, and our executives, Tom Schumacher specifically, who was very good gauge on when you're being over the top. He said, "No, that's way too much." It was so raw. It was almost traumatic for a young viewer to see it, and so we ended up pulling it way back. So what finally made it into the film, you just hear a little bit of Kenai screaming, "Hey, we got to find him!" But there was about 3 minutes of that. YouTube question is working on a film salary based or commission based? Are you paid per scene, drawing, etc.? Are you paid per year that you work on the film? How does the film budget affect this? Different people work under different guidelines. Me as a director, I had a yearly salary, and I was salaried. As an animator, I was hourly. We weren't paid by the scene. We were hourly employees. And so, when you go in to making a film, you have an average, by other films how to gauge, the average, amount of overtime and that sort of thing. And so you go into the process, going off of those averages, and that's how you come up with your initial budget. As time goes on, you'll adjust, as the real hours come in, and you have to, you'll make adjustments that way. YouTube comment, I feel like your background is overexposed quite a bit. I mean, I have the need to see it more contrasty. I'm really curious to see the end result. Well, I wanted it to be like he's in light. I know there is a little bit of, I want it to be really bright. But, and I'm at this point, I'm noodling. I'm really, I want a lot of debris in there too. So I'm going to do this. I want to add a few more, where was it? Where's my special brush? How often do I what?
How often do you record yourself acting out the scene?
I did a lot of recording as a scratch doing scratch work. Scratch work is, temporary. I'm the temporary voice, and I did a lot of that.
And did you get to personally work with Phil Collins? Because that would be so cool.
Oh yeah, no, we worked very closely together for 4 years. One of the funniest experiences was my sister is a huge Phil Collins fan, and uh, I was my sister and my father, they were all at the house one day, and we were doing some work on my floors, my father and I, and the phone rang, and so I asked my sister to answer the phone, and it was Phil Collins calling me to go over some of the lyrics, and my sister, oh my God, she almost died. It was pretty funny.
It's Phil Collins.
Yeah.
How many versions of Sitka's funeral music were recorded before the final film?
I think we only did a couple versions of it. Not too many. I'm taking that person's advice. I'm pushing it just a touch. Because I think I agree with you. I think I agree with you.
Did Glenn Keane work on Brother Bear?
He did not. We wanted him to. Oh, there's my granddaughter being left. She's being left to be babysat, and she doesn't want to be left. Hold on, let me see if we can get her. Hi. Hey, Avalon. Hi. Hi. Oh.
That would be about. Hi. How you doing? Give me a hug.
So we're doing a live stream right now, so you gotta stay out here. Oh, look, she drew on herself. This is my granddaughter. This is Avalon. Oh, and she's very pouty because we're babysitting her today, and she doesn't want to be babysat. She wants her mama, but mama's working. But here we are. We're drawing. See, we're drawing. And we're drawing, and we're drawing. There. So what I'm doing here is I'm just adding a little bit more darkness, just to get a little more contrast in there. There we go. What do you think of that? What do you think? So I'm going to go over the top of all this with this brush. So I want to get some, let's see here. What do you think? There. Get some nice texture in there. Now let's set this one. Let's do this.
What are you going to start the?
We're going to set this to over or multiply. See? Mwah. What's that?
What are you going to start on the totem poles?
The totem poles.
The totems, not the poles.
Not the totem. There's no totem poles. What you doing? What's the matter? There we go. There we go. And we're going to bring it down
Any
here.
recommendations for methods of learning lighting?
You got to look at life. That's what you got to do. That's the best thing you can do. Got to look at life. Now here I'm going to put a little bit of. I'm going to go into my filter. I want to try something. I want to do. Let's do a radial blur. I want to see what that's going to look like. Even though we have things swirling, I want to put it right here. I just want to see what it's going to look like if we do this. Let's see what happens. So I want a little bit of action of the. Boy, it's really taking a while. There we go. There we go. So once again, remember, oh, it's too much. Or actually, what if I double up on it? That's still too much. Do this. I'm going to merge those layers. And I'm going to set that back to multiply. Oh, no, actually, I'll leave it like that. I'm going to leave it like that. Just see, and then I can do it with some other ones. Oh, you okay, sweetie? Hmm. Yes. She's very upset that she has to come see us today. Let's see what this one is. There we go. So we've got that one there. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a radial blur. I'm just experimenting. Radial blur. But this one I'm going to pull way back on it. And hit OK and see what those look like. Doing it in the same spot so they have the same center.
Would you have liked to work on Balto?
I would have loved to have worked on Balto. I think that was it was a cool film. That came out kind of cool. Is that the same? There we go. So you see, I'm adding a little bit of, getting some action in there, which feels kind of cool.
You should put on Brother Bear for Avalon today.
Yeah, YouTube comment. Now things got challenging, people. Aaron will draw just one with just one hand. Yes. See, you're getting to see my life. This is my life. So I figured, what the heck? Here we are. All right. Did I ever get to see him backstage at a concert? I'm assuming you're talking about Phil Collins. Yes, we went to several concerts that he was doing, and yeah, we went backstage afterwards and hung out, had wine, and talked of days gone by. Yes, we did a lot of stuff.
So how long is the coupon code good for?
I think it's good for the next 24 hours. But I could be wrong. Nick, do you know? I'll ask Nick.
And love your work. Any quick tips for changing from mouse to pen?
Changing from mouse to pen? Yeah. Get away from the mouse. You shouldn't be using a mouse to do this.
Put the mouse down.
Yeah.
Do you still do animation?
Oh, I sure do. As much as I can.
Just not for like any specific studio. Just do your own. You do your own animation.
Yeah, I do my own. I'm creating a acting for animation course right now. So I'm in the middle of it, and it'll be hopefully be out in the next.
Actually, he just corrected. Like, do you still do animation other than for tutorials?
Yeah, when I get an opportunity. The last time I did it was a few years ago, but I did something for a commercial I did called "The Bear and the Hare" for a company in the UK, and I'm not doing any film animation, movie, feature animation, but this was really neat. Look it up. Nick will put a link in there. I think they have it's on Vimeo, Nick, not on YouTube anymore. It's on Vimeo, but it was done really cool. We animated everything by hand on paper. Some guys did digital animating on with TV Paint, but then each of the drawings were colored digitally. But then they were printed out on boards, and each board or silhouette that was I'm sorry, they were printed out on boards, and then they were cut out. They were laser cut. Just the character silhouettes, and then those silhouettes were placed inside a miniature set, and so it was a mixture of kind of traditional animation and stop motion animation. So it was very cool.
Was that the next setup? You already said that, right?
48 hours. It's good for 48 hours. The code. And so, like I said, the code, if you want to put that back up again, Dustin, the code is Brother Bear 15, and it will get you 15% off. 15% off.
Do you like the newer versions of Narnia?
Yeah, I think they're pretty cool. I haven't seen all of them. I think the first ones were better than the subsequent ones afterwards. But I thought they were, good. So I'm just going through now, and I still want to try something. I'm going to save this. Boy, this is really hard doing this one-handed. I want to start burning in some areas. I'm going to call it here in just a little bit. We've been at it for 2 hours, and now that I got this little one here, I'm gonna have to call it. But I'm going to, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put these. Boy, this is hard. You're a hard one, kid. Why don't you grow up? Huh? Here we go. I'm going to open that layer. I'm going to merge that group. Oh, you can't. Don't push the keys. Don't do that. I want to try something. I want to try burning in a couple of areas. So let me just double up on that so I don't ruin anything. And
Hey, Dustin has 2 free arms. No, Avalon does not like me.
his hair scares her.
Every time I walk in the room, like she'll run towards the door to see who it is. As soon as she sees me, she runs straight to mommy.
Okay, we got to make this brush big, like that. We're going to knock that back, and I'm going to knock this way down here, like so. Whoops. Like
What's your
so.
favorite Don Bluth film?
Secret of Nim. So I'm just burning in. Oh, I know what I did wrong. Ah, doggone it. You're distracting me, kid. Secret of Nim. I gotta set this to color dodge. There it is, color dodge. There we go. Now we're gonna get some. I want to get it nice and hot.
Are there any great brushes to download that you use all the time?
Yeah, this the brush I drew this with. You can get on my website, creatureartteacher.com, and I love it. I made it several years ago, and it's the only brush I use to sketch. I actually paint with it a lot too. See what I'm doing? I'm getting this really hot. I'm really burning in some of these areas because I want that sense of light, a strong sense of light. What? What do you think? Are you fascinated? Are you in awe of what I am doing, young child? There we go.
You seem like such a lovely family. Do you spend a lot of time together?
We do. We spend lots of time together. Dustin only lives about 2 miles away, and my daughter lives literally 8 houses away around the corner. I want to try something. I'm going to try just burning in right in the center of his chest.
Make it look like he's about to explode.
I just want to see what it looks like. That looks horrible.
He's about to go kablooey.
Don't like it. That looks horrible. Horrible.
Horrible.
There. Transformation. It's not the greatest image in the world, but it was fun to do. I was so sidetracked on different things.
Well, you got a baby in your hand.
I've got a baby. Making art with a baby. I'm 50 years old. And see, that's the other thing. Your family will always, you'll always be a dad or a granddad. Let's see here. I'm going to set this back to normal. And I think we'll just call it quits today, because I'm really having a hard time right now. So I am going to set this here, and always remember to sign. She keeps wanting to push the keys. You have any more questions, Dustin, over there?
Do you sketch on paper when starting to work, or do you go straight to Photoshop?
I go straight to Photoshop, but I still sketch on paper. I still do that. So there's a transformation. That's a little weak, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and I loved talking about Brother Bear today. Why are you still playing with these keys? What are you doing? Look over here. Hey, look over here. I'm going to turn this way then. So you're going to have to look at the. You have to look at the screen. But I had a lot of fun. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I love talking about Brother Bear. And yeah, so remember, there's that 15% discount when you go to creatureartteacher.com and type in Brother Bear 15. Sorry, I drew a blank there for a second. I'm thinking about the baby.
You okay?
I think she needs to be changed. Welcome to my life. But so anyway, we will be back again on Tuesday, right?
Tuesday,
Yeah,
next
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
and we'll be back doing another stream. After Tuesday, I believe I'm leaving on the 9th. I'm going to be in Eugene, Oregon, doing an event out there, and so our streams will probably be a little sketchy moving forward. We'll also be at CTN. I want you guys, if you're going to be in the Los Angeles area, please come see us at CTN in Burbank, November 15th through the 19th.
Oh, so are we flying in on the 14th, or are we?
Yeah, but the event is the 15th through the 19th, so that's where we're going to be, and we really hope to see you guys there. And then after that, we'll be back to our streaming as usual. So hope you guys enjoyed today. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed talking about the movie and really struggling with this drawing and this piece of work. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will talk to you later. Dustin?
See you guys. Cowboy Bebop.